So we're live to Sri Lanka now as thousands of protesters in the capital Colombo stormed the president's official residence, demanding him to step down. Our special guest coming to us live from there is assistant editor at Himalistan, Mr. Marlon Aryasinghe. Welcome, Marlon, to Salam
Hi,
Media.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
great.
Okay, so we're hearing that thousands of protesters have stormed the president's um, residence in the capital of Sri Lanka, and demonstrators from all over the country marched to Colombo demanding his resignation after months of protests over mismanagement of the country's economic crisis. So we have been following the story. We know that Sri Lanka's set out to the Sri Lankans have set out to protest against this for a long time in terms of the economic crisis. We even found Sri Lankans living in South Africa also supported this demand, as it were. And now it's come to this where they are actually commanding him to leave his office. Where are we at now, and what is happening on the ground at the moment?
Yeah, I'm not hearing you that clearly, but I'll just explain what happened on the ground today. So in the morning, there were basically there were calls to come to Colombo because we have this in order to pressurize this government and also our president Gotabaya Rajapaksa to resign. So from all over Sri Lanka, there were people pouring into the capital Colombo, and we've had a lot of people coming in, and they're still coming in. And so I was just there for about 4 hours just before, and the protesters, they have managed to because at this because for the longest time, there were, for the last 90 days, there was at Goldface in front of the presidential secretariat, there was a kind of a makeshift village that was created called Gota Go Gama or Gota Go village, which was to, again, to pressurize the president to step down. And because that has been the rallying call of the protesters for the, for the last 6 months. So so today they actually managed to break down the barriers, and the protesters managed to get into the presidential secretariats. And we've been getting images, and I was also there at the presidential secretariats, as well as president's official residence. And so protesters have been basically, they were able to break in. They broke through the barriers, and they've basically they're just going around the premises, and they have occupied the premises. And they still demand for the president to resign. And what the protesters are saying, that they will not go home until this happens. Um, so that's what's been happening on the ground.
Hmm. So, if you can hear me, has the president been escorted to safety?
Sorry.
Has the president been escorted to safety?
The
Unfortunately,
president
yeah.
was actually not in his official residence or the secretariat. There were reports that he was at a military base, but again, these are unconfirmed reports. And there were lots of other rumors that were flying around, saying that the president is, has left the country, which are just rumors. So, in terms of the political response to what's been happening on the ground, we've had the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe calling an all party leaders meeting, and two of the main opposition parties, the NPP and the SJB, they've actually refused to attend this meeting. But just a few moments ago, we got reports. The outcome of this meeting is that all party leaders have demanded the president to follow the people's mandate, to listen to the people's mandate, and for him to resign. So that's what's been happening on the political front.
And have the military intervened?
The military, in the morning, it's not that there was heavy military presence, which was there since yesterday because protesters were coming in from all over the island since yesterday. So there was heavy military presence, and there have been heavy military presence for the last 6 months in Colombo. And so yesterday we saw lots of military, buses and personnel coming into the capital. But today, although in the morning there were several attacks of tear gas and water cannons just to dissuade the protesters from breaking down the barriers. After some time, the military or the police, they have not really got involved. And as of now, what I observed is the fact that they are actually letting the protests to the protesters to express their freedom of expression, which I think is a good thing. And I
Mhm.
think simply because there's just too many people.
Yeah.
And I have never seen this many people in Colombo who have come out to, in a single-minded cause to pressurize the government and the president to resign.
Yes, we've seen footage of it, and it's unbelievable. There's. I know you're saying thousands, but there are just too many. It's incredible that everyone's come out for this, and of course, what they are complaining about is the rampant inflation, and it's the struggling to import food, fuel, and medicine. So it is a dire situation, and I think there's been this build up already. But what is the last week been like before the civilians or the citizens of Sri Lanka decided we're going out now and we're getting rid of this president? What happened prior to this?
I'm sorry, would you mind please repeating that?
Okay, what happened prior to this to today? In other words, this week, what was the build
Yeah.
up?
So what
Yeah,
happened prior to today? Yeah, so
yes.
basically, for the last 6 months, there have been island-wide protests, and in the last 2 weeks, there have been this call because in the ninth of the month is actually quite significant to these protests,
Okay. That
because it was after May 9th that the previous prime minister,
unfortunately, we have a poor internet connection. So we've just lost again our correspondent live from Sri Lanka. I think if we cannot get him back, we're going to leave it there. We'll follow the story. Salam Media will continue with that. Are you back, Marlon?
I think I'm back.
Okay, we lost you there for a
Yeah,
minute or two.
just
Okay, you were,
the signal
yeah,
in the internet situation is like just crazy because there's just too many people in Colombo, and I've not been able to get a decent signal for a very long time, even to kind of update on what's going on. So
sure.
it's been a bit of a bit difficult to kind of connect to the outside world. So just the previous question where you asked about what happened prior to this. So for the
Yes,
last 2 weeks, there have been these calls, sent out by the people who are organizing the protests for the people to come to Colombo on the 9th, which is today, and for them to kind of show support. And it was actually called like the end game of the Aragale, like the
yeah.
Aragale means the struggle. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the 9th is a significant date for the struggle because
Okay,
if you take May 9th, that was following the May 9th protests. We had the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksha who resigned, which kind of affected another important political change in the country. So I think they are focusing on this, the 9th, the day of the month,
right.
to push for the resignation of the president. So for the last week, there has been a lot of through social media, through other channels, there's been a lot of call to action for people to come and to protest in Colombo. And we are as you mentioned at the very beginning, we are currently undergoing, an economic crisis, and there's a fuel crisis. So we don't really have petrol now. I had like a very little amount of petrol to get to Colombo from where I was, right? So even though
Mm.
it was only about 10 kilometers, so
Sure.
I had a friend who walked, and there were so many people who walked from the outskirts of Colombo to the city center, in order to be to be able to take part in the protest. So there have been lots of stories like that, and in the morning, there was a curfew that was declared illegally, and then in the morning it was lifted. And after that, there were, from the major cities like Kandy and Gaul, there were trains that were scheduled, but the trains at the in the morning, they said that they're not going to run. So people had to kind of pressurize the station masters to get the trains going, and that basically led to a lot of trains coming into the city center as well. And you saw lots of people just coming in, like, just buses and any vehicle that there was, they would just get into it. And people were very helpful in that sense. People were just ushering people, them to and transporting them to the protest sites. So that is what was happening in the last few hours. So it
Mhm.
was again, I want to reiterate, like unreal scenes in Colombo.
Uh-huh. So historically, we've seen that any country that's had a coup as such, the consequence thereof is then again the recovery of that. It's too soon to be actually talking about what the consequence could be. But can you perhaps just shed some light very briefly on what the prediction could be for Sri Lanka post this event today?
I'm sorry again. I'm not able to hear you properly.
Okay, I'm saying what would your prediction be in terms of what the consequence could be for Sri Lankans post today's events? I
Okay,
think
I
it's
heard
going.
you. Right.
Yeah,
So,
great. Okay.
in terms of the consequences, we will just have to see. At this moment, we are not sure what's going to happen. I mean, as I mentioned before, there is this. The political parties, they have met, the party leaders have met, and they have demanded the president to resign. So we actually don't know whether this is going to, whether that's going to come to effect. And so in terms of the consequences, I mean, if you are looking at the economic crisis, if you listen to the experts, it's very clear that this is not going to go away. It's going to
Mhm.
take at least the next year for us to, at least until the IMF deal is in place, for us, for Sri Lanka to kind of stand on its own, on 2 feet, and to have some sort of economic stability. But
Right.
we've been saying, political analysts have been saying up to this point, for any sort of economic stability to kind of transpire, there needs to be political stability. And this is what
Correct.
what we are seeing in Colombo today, and for the last few months, is that people are clamoring for some sort of political stability, so that, because people know that they have to suffer. And I mean, in the sense that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a difficult year ahead, and if not, it might be even a difficult 1.5 years ahead. But people do understand the reality of the situation that we are in. But they want a certain respite, in the sense, this is what I feel. They want respite in the sense, at least there should be some sort of political stability, and that demand, the majorities demand the people's mandate for the president to resign, and also along with the government, that of the president, which is headed by PM Ranil Wickremesinghe. So uh, this sort of respite, I think, yeah, political analysts have been saying, will usher in some sort of stability, and will usher in some sort of optimism, because we need to have a lot of hope and optimism and resilience in order
Correct.
to face the next few months, until some sort of IMF deal is in place. So for that to work, there needs to be some sort of political stability, and I think this is what the people are clamoring for, and they've been protesting for the last 6 months for this. So in terms of the consequences, yes, things are not going to suddenly go away, and our economic situation is not going to magically get
Right.
better, but
Yes.
people, at least the resignation of the president, I think, would usher in some sort of optimism,
True.
and so some sort of resilience, that we can hold on until the IMF deal comes in, because at least some of our mandates, some of our demands have been met.
Met. Right. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us on Salam Media so quickly. I hope that you'll all be safe, and I hope that Sri Lankans will benefit from what they've set out to do overall. Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Najma. Thank you. Bye
That's it.
bye.
Bye. Thank you. Okay, that's it from me. Jazakallah khair for joining me today on our special Hajj broadcast. We broadcasted from 11 until 1 with our very special guests. I want to thank Salam Media for giving me the opportunity, and all the technical team here again that have been on my side with load shedding and with all of the other technical difficulties that happened behind the scenes. I think it was wonderful. I just thoroughly enjoyed being in your company again, and I just hope that you enjoyed our Hajj broadcast. It will continue on Salam Media. And from me and my family and all the family here at Salam Media, we wish you a blessed Eid ul Adha Mubarak.